Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again. Another episode of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you, as always, for joining me. It is 6 o'clock on a Monday. And yes, we want to start off by sending our thanks to all of the men and women who've given their lives for our freedom. This is our day to remember you and what you have done for this country, what you've done for us as people, but also know that every day is a day that we can remember these young men and these women, not just young men, but these men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And it doesn't necessarily have to be military. See, that's one of the things that I think we always mess up with. We try to condense who we can give thanks and praise to. And for me, anybody who's put their life or given their life in service of, regardless of what the service, but if it was in service of the people, I want to make sure that I give all of those thank yous and those prayers to the families of those men and women. But it's spicy today, and not like my normal Talk Spicy podcast, but I was sitting back thinking about, watching social media, and a lot of the topics that I have, they come from things that I see in Giants country, on social media, especially on Twitter and on Facebook. And make sure that if you have not done so already, that you go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you hit that little notification bell so that you are made aware anytime a new episode is available. We appreciate everybody that joins us, and we want you to become a part of this community on a regular basis. So if you have not done so, make sure that you go ahead and you subscribe to the channel while you're sitting here watching. Like, while you're sitting here, just hit that little button, hit that little thing that says subscribe, and you'll be able to subscribe right now. But I was thinking about, what to talk about today. And one of the things that I recognize is that there's a lot of discussion over importance of players. And so this week and then next week, I'm going to give you a preliminary look at what I believe are the most important offensive and defensive players to the success of the Giants in 2022. I don't personally believe in rebuilding. I believe that the NFL is set up so that any team can go from worst to first. I'm also probably in the minority, but I don't believe that the Giants were that far away last year. I think that they had some issues that happened. Some people didn't play well. And if those issues hadn't happened, and if those people that played better, if there were healthier situations, that the Giants last year and especially the year before could have been right in the position to make a playoff run. But this is this year. And so when I look at what they can do to be successful, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, well, we're getting ready for 2 years from now. We're getting ready from 3 years from now. That doesn't interest me at all. And as a fan, it should not interest anybody in Giants country, because at the end of the day, if you're in a league where you can go worst from first, we just saw the Bengals go from not a playoff team to the Super Bowl. So if they can go from worst to first, why can't the Giants? So I went down and I lined up 10 offensive players that I believe are going to be critical to the success. These are the 10 most important players on the offensive side of the ball for the Giants this year, for 2022, not for the future, not, anything beyond 2022. These are the 10 right now. And at number 10, I've got the rookie tight end, Daniel Bellinger. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, well, he's not going to be that. Well, obviously, he fills a role that they don't have. They don't have a guy who is an elite level blocker at tight end. So if they're really serious about being a more physical offense, they're going to have a tight end that can block. Now, is Bellinger a plus in the passing game? No, but what he is a plus when it comes to his size and his physicality. So he can be a mauler in the run game. He's athletic enough that he can be a move piece, and you can send him running on kick out blocks or blocking downfield. But then he's also athletic enough that he can work those underneath routes that you should get with an improved running game that allows him to take advantage of short to intermediate passes that he can have an opportunity to run after the catch. So I believe that Daniel Bellinger is going to play a really good role in this offense and is going to be on the field, because when you run somebody as a blocker, you want them to be on the field for play action, because that makes the play action more believable. I know a lot of the analytics people will tell you that it doesn't really matter if you're running the ball well, that play action works just because it works. But I'm here to tell you, as someone who watches games and is involved in the game, the nuance of the game, that when you are running the ball well, your tight end is that much more open, because those linebackers have to step. They have to move. They have to be fast, because if they're not going to be able to get to the hole in time or be able to avoid those offensive linemen that are coming at them. So Daniel Bellinger at number 10, tight end, I believe he's the 10th most important this year. Number 9, Mark Glowinski. He is the free agent signing at offensive guard. I believe he was one of the first big signings that they were going to look to improve this offensive line, not only through the draft, but through free agency as well. He was a big signing. He's going to have to justify the money that he's making. He's not getting minimum salary. He's going to have to justify the money that he's making. He's going to have to prove that he can be a part of this team for longer than this year. And I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. When you're a part of one of the most dominant offensive lines in the NFL, and they decide that you are a piece that they could be willing to do without, that has to be a hit to the ego. So now he comes over to the Giants, who had a horrible rushing offense last year overall, and now he gets the opportunity to come in and be a part of improving an offensive line and improving a running game and a pass protection game. He has to be motivated by that. I think that's going to play well. It's going to go into what I believe the offensive philosophy needs to be, which is to be more aggressive, be more nasty. He's going to fit into that, and that's why he's number 9 on the list. Number 8, we may not see early. There's a chance that Sterling Shepard might start the season off, or at least start camp off on the PUP list. I'm not exactly sure how his rehab is going, where he's going to be by the time it's time to put on the helmet and the shoulder pads. But I do know this: when healthy, before he got hurt, before he was injured last year, Sterling Shepard was having a great year. He was a guy who I believe had figured out this thing. He had found the glitch in the matrix. His ability to work intermediate, his ability to run the route tree, his hands. I believe that his best days were ahead of him. And so, yeah, he's coming off injury, but I believe if he can get back to the level that he saw, especially early last year, there has an opportunity to really help this offense out, because the wide receivers will be key. They will be key in making sure that this offense can live up to their full potential. So number 8, Sterling Shepard. At number 7 is really interesting. I have Joe Feliciano here, but really and truly, I'm talking about whomever is going to play the center position. Right now, it's Feliciano. If Nick Gates is healthy, does it end up being Nick Gates? Is there somebody that gets cut somewhere down the line that comes in and replaces all of them? I'm not sure. All I know for certain is that Feliciano and Nick Gates both have limited amounts of experience at playing center, but they have the most center experience on this team. That's scary. You want a center to be able to be a take charge type of guy, a guy who can really be the captain. It doesn't really matter how good your left tackle is, ladies and gentlemen. Your left tackle or your right tackle can't be the captain of the offensive line, because they're not in a position to see what the center sees. So you have to have somebody who not only is comfortable enough as a center to be able to do their job, but comfortable enough as a leader to make sure that everybody else knows how to do their job as well. So that's why that center position is going to be important. If Feliciano can shake out and be that guy, when he comes in, the one thing we know about Feliciano is Feliciano's a nasty offensive lineman. It goes well with the whole theme of what they want to do here with the Giants this year. So if Feliciano it shakes out as the number one at center, then that goes in with the nastiness. And I think that helps for the run game. Number 6, Kenny Gallaudet. You can't get all that money and then not perform. It's that simple. So there'll be pressure on Kenny Gallaudet. And quiet as it's kept, I think that if you put Kenny Gallaudet as someone with pride, he wants to perform better. He believes that he has the ability to perform better. He wasn't given a full opportunity to perform that well because of how putrid the offense was last year. So now with a revitalized offense, one that should look to get the ball into the hands of the receivers and allow them to cook, this is the opportunity for Kenny Gallaudet to prove that he's worth the money that he receives. He's going to need to, because it's going to be much easier to come off that contract after 2022 than it would have been to come off that contract this year. So he's going to have the pressure to perform. He's going to want to perform. He's got all the tools. He can stretch the field. He can work intermediate. He can catch it. He can make people miss. It's not his game, but you know what I'm saying? He's got enough wiggle that he can make some things happen. But he is your quintessential, prototypical X receiver outside to be able to do damage out there and make this offense one that not only goes vertical, but can stretch east to west as well. Number 5, Evan Neal. When you're the first offensive lineman taken with a first round pick since the other offensive lineman that they took with the first round pick, the pressure is going to be on. Supposedly Neal is the answer, right? So if you're the answer, you don't have time to develop. When you come from Alabama, Alabama has a reputation for bringing offensive linemen into the NFL ready. So Evan Neal is going to be relied upon to hit the ground running immediately. We don't want to have the growing pains. Or the he'll figure it out. He needs to be able to go and hit the ground running. And what's the easiest way to make somebody comfortable? What's the easiest way to make sure that they have the greatest opportunity for success as an offensive lineman? To invest in the run game. And so if we get Evan Neal invested in the run game, we know he's a mauler. We know what he can do. And now you think about Evan Neal, and you think about him next to Glowinski, who's next to Feliciano. Those 3 alone, that is a really, really hard-nosed right side, where we know that most people like to run. They like to run to the right side more because most coaches are right-hand dominant. So Evan Neal definitely going to be somebody that has to hit the ground running and be an important part of this offense day one. Number 4, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. Oh my gosh, he's the quarterback. He's the most important. Actually, he's not. Here's what Daniel Jones needs to be. Daniel Jones needs to be a facilitator. And a facilitator does not have to be number 1. We cannot go into a season as a team, as a coaching staff, asking Daniel Jones to win football games. We have to go into a season asking Daniel Jones to take the chances that are there for him to take. You don't have to win the entire game, but when there's an opportunity for you to cut it loose, cut it loose. Until then, you need to be getting the ball into the hands of the home run hitters. And he has them all over the place. Kadarius Toney. Slayton is around. You got Shepard. We talked about Gallaudet. Wan'Dale Robinson. You got Saquon Barkley back healthy. There are going to be guys who can take it the distance. You've got to be the man to get the ball into their hands, and you cannot be the man that gives the ball to the defense. So you have to take the opportunities when the opportunities present themselves. So you got to be, if you're thinking about it like a prize fighter, Daniel Jones has to work behind his jab. And the jab is getting it out to those playmakers. Getting it out quick to those playmakers. Use the jab, jab, until the defense exposes an opening where you can hit them with the haymaker. You can hit them with that Javonte Davis overhand right. Because if Daniel Jones can take the easy, and then when they open it up for the big cheese, bombs away, that changes the entire dynamic of this offense. He's got to be able to use his athleticism when the opportunities arise. And then he has to know when the fight is over and how to preserve himself so he doesn't get injured, because the best ability is availability. So at number 4 is Daniel Jones. Number 3, Kadarius Toney. We saw glimpses of it last year. He has an opportunity to be a game-changing receiver. Get the ball in his hands, let him do work, find ways for him to get touches, find ways for him to get the ball in his hands, move him all over the place, use him in many different types of ways. This is the thing that the Giants are going to want to do, and if they want to be successful. So if Toney is doing everything he should be doing to get back on the field to be ready for the start of the season, then they have to be doing everything in their power to ensure that they're using that weapon that they have to their advantage, because he can be an X factor for this offense. He can be somebody that changes the entire math of the offense. That's Kadarius Toney. It'll be interesting to see how they use him early on. Number 2, the former first-round draft pick of the Giants, the best offensive lineman that they have. It is time for Andrew Thomas to ascend to a top 5 offensive tackle in this league. It is time for him to ascend to an all-pro caliber tackle. Now, we know it's hard to make all-pro, but he should be an all-pro caliber tackle. If Andrew Thomas is an all-pro caliber tackle, that probably means Daniel Jones is better protected. If he's an all-pro caliber tackle, that probably means that they're doing a great job in the run game. If he's an all-pro caliber tackle, then that means that they're trying to shift attention away from him. Or that means they could leave him on the island by himself and shift all of the help and protection to the other side or to the middle. So they need Andrew Thomas to take that next step, which is, I am going to be an all-pro caliber tackle. That is why he is so important. If you've noticed on this list, there have been 4 offensive line positions so far. We talked about Feliciano. We talked about Neal. We talked about Glowinski. The other guard position is probably going to be manned up by one of those free agents, or if one of the North Carolina guards shakes out as a number 1. But Andrew Thomas will be the catalyst for success out of the offensive line for the Giants. Mark my word. And number 1, Saquon Barkley. He is the most dynamic, the most athletic player on the Giants team. Maybe Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe Thibodeau is as dynamic from a defensive standpoint. But make no mistake about it, there are no Saquon Barkleys just running around the league. None. People keep trying to say they are, but they're not. And I believe that this offensive coaching staff has to be thinking about the million different ways to use Saquon Barkley in the offense. Are we going to use him as a runner? Are we going to use him as a pass receiver? Are we going to use him heavy in the screen game? Are we going to get him out on routes where we find matchup problems, one-on-ones with linebackers who should not be in coverage? If they can find the matchups, if they can get him into open space, if they can allow him to be the Saquon Barkley that he was his rookie year and his second year before the injuries hit, then that is the Saquon Barkley that is going to be hard to imagine life without. There's not another Saquon Barkley just out there hanging out. He's going to get the opportunity, if they feel how I feel, that he is a weapon and that he can be employed in so many different ways, not just a handoff, a predictable handoff on first down and then on second down, but no, like a screen on first down, or him on a wheel route on first down, or him on an option route on first down, or him going in motion and getting a quick pass to him on an outside smoke screen on a first down. The dynamics on how they use Saquon Barkley is going to be important, because I believe that is going to be the biggest catalyst for the success of the offense. If Saquon Barkley is playing at 1,000 caliber, then that means the Giants offense is going. I'm not saying he's going to be 1,000 guy, but if Saquon Barkley is rushing for over 1,000 yards and he's pushing, or he's operating as a receiver, that would tell you, man, if they fed him more targets, he would be 1,000-yard receiver. Then that means that the Giants offense is going in the way that they would like to see this offense going. If they're just using him as a 3 yards in the cloud of dust power back, then guess what? That's not going to be the way. So Saquon Barkley, the number one most important offensive player in 2022. I know some of you guys, I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me in the comments that you believe, that you can't believe I didn't put Daniel Jones as the number one. I get it. Everybody wants to always give credence to the quarterback to be the most important offensive player. But when it's just not true, it's just not true. Is it true in Carolina? Or is Christian McCaffrey the most important offensive player? Is it true in Tennessee? Or is Derrick Henry the most important offensive player? Is it true in Indianapolis? Or is Jonathan Taylor the most important offensive player? I can keep going down the list, but I think you get what I mean, right? So it's not always about the quarterback, but what Saquon Barkley can do is going to make the difference. So if you notice from the list, right, and I'm going to go through the list one more time, notice what we're thinking. Daniel Bellinger is 10, blocking first tight end. Glowinski, starting guard. Shepard at 8. He's a guy you want to get the ball in the hands of quick. Let him do his damage. Feliciano, or whoever shakes out at the 10, at the center position at 7. Kenny Gallaudet at 6. Evan Neal at right tackle at 5. Daniel Jones comes in at 4. Kadarius Toney at 3. Andrew Thomas, the big man on the left side, and Saquon Barkley as the number one most important offensive player for the 2022 season. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear what you have to say. Leave a comment. Make sure that you like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Love that you guys are interacting and I hear from you on social media. I really do appreciate it. Make sure that you follow me, as always, at Gene Clemens. Anywhere that you find your things, you can always join me every morning, or at least almost every morning, Monday through Friday, for my Talk Spicy podcast. Check that out. Until next time, go Blue.